shot in 4K ultra high definition. Your number one source for local news. WRAL News. Coverage you can count on.
And it starts tonight. This is a look at our snowfall forecast, an average of 3 to 6 inches. I'll show you why we could see some pockets that are heavier in some spots.
And we are talking about preparing for snow. Teams will be out on the roads ahead of that winter storm moving in tonight. The NCDOT progress update that we're expecting this morning. Plus, feeling fatigue. A second weekend of winter weather means no days off for some crews. How the repeat work days are affecting those workers. We'll dive into that and more this morning as you're joining us here on WRAL News with a pretty awesome moon over my shoulder. Love seeing that at downtown Cary Park. Thanks for joining us here. I'm Chris Lovingood, but let's go ahead and swing over to the weather forecast with Elizabeth. Elizabeth, kind of set the stage for this snow forecast for us.
So it's likely to arrive sometime late this afternoon into the overnight period, and we can see as much as 3 to 6 inches. There's the possibility that some pockets could be a little bit heavier than that. Coming up as we get into our newscast, we're going to talk about banding that may happen with this storm and how that could affect the forecast. Looking at the potential closer to Charlotte and down south of some heavier totals and closer to the coast. But there could be some pockets here and there where we see some of those heavier totals to maybe as much as 8 inches. So this is a significant storm. You want to be prepared to be at home all weekend and maybe even into early next week. We do have a winter storm warning that goes into effect this evening. Also, a cold weather advisory for the day tomorrow. Cold wind chills will be in the single digits, and then we're going to bump it up another notch on Sunday. We have an extreme cold watch with wind chill values as low as 5 below. So it's not just the snow, it is the cold. This is a look at our futurecast probability of 3 inches of snow. It's anywhere from about 65 to 75%, so that's a high chance. And again, we could see some totals that are a bit higher than that. Expect the roads to be very messy Saturday and Sunday. The crews will get out there and plow it as soon as they can. You may have to shovel your sidewalk as well. And there could be some patchy power outages as well. It won't be as big a threat as we had with the ice storm, but we're looking at some heavy snow on power lines and really windy conditions for the weekend. We take a live look at downtown Raleigh. It is 21 degrees, but fortunately the wind is calm right now. And we're looking at very little wind chill, just a couple of spots. Like South Hill feels like 13, but for the most part, our winds are calm. It's 22 in Rocky Mount, 19 in Southern Pines, and 23 in Fayetteville if you're heading out the door right now. Again, stays cold all day. The cold air is in place. We barely get above freezing. We'll see increasing clouds. And coming up, we're going to take a look at Futurecast. We'll walk you through the timeline for the snow this weekend.
A lot of people want to see that timeline. Thank you, Elizabeth. Today, we will learn more about how North Carolina is getting ready for that snow this weekend. Governor Josh Stein plans to hold a news conference at 11 this morning. Let's go ahead and bring in Allie Kadlabar. She is outside the NCDOT facility on Blue Ridge Road. And Allie, the main concern this time, we're talking about snow.
Yeah, snow is definitely the main concern, and that means that it's going to be a busy start to the weekend for NCDOT crews. Brine trucks are going to be back on the roads today, wrapping up treating them. And then Governor Josh Stein says that NCDOT crews will have plows on the roads as early as tonight. He says the efforts are going to look similar to last week, but snow is just easier to clear off the roads. It is expected to be windier this weekend, so Stein is asking people who do not have to drive to give crews extra space. He says they will be out clearing up the roads as soon as possible.
Well, these guys have to prioritize the interstates first, and then the major state roads second, and then they can get into the secondary roads later. So we ask people to be patient, to understand that it's better to not be on the roads if you possibly cannot be.
And we expect to hear an update from NCDOT today at 10 a.m. We're going to hear from Governor Josh Stein again at 11 this morning. You can check back with WRAL for updates. Reporting live in Raleigh, Allie Kadlabar, WRAL News.
And all this winter storm prep means back-to-back weekends of long shifts for a lot of the road crews. WRAL's Grace Haba joins us now to talk a little bit more about that. Grace, we are already seeing evidence of their hard work right out there on the roads.
Yeah, Chris, those signature white lines indicative of winter weather to come already out here on the roads this morning. In Raleigh, looking over I-40 here at Lake Wheeler, you can see that traffic is still flowing. Obviously, that winter weather hasn't started coming yet, but we have seen a few more salt trucks making their way through the area. all to get ready for this incoming weather. Now, many Wake County municipalities like Garner and Zebulon will have a lot of those same crews back out here for this storm, just like they did last weekend. And this time, preparing for more snow over ice is keeping them busy.
We took a brief pause for a few days, for maybe a day and a half or so, and geared back up. So where our crews are holding up pretty well. You try to make certain in these times you're doing the work that you need to do, and things that can wait, let it wait until next week.
And as Allie mentioned, that snow is going to be a little bit easier for these crews, in theory, to get off of our roads, which is some good news for them. But of course, time will tell, Chris, exactly how long and how easy that will actually be. Reporting live in Wake County, Grace Haba, WRAL News.
And folks, winter weather has caused major issues for town services around the region. Take Hillsborough, for example. They're extending loose leaf collection season because of this. People can now have their leaves collected for the next 2 weeks, regardless of the regular service schedule. And you can count on WRAL to bring you updates on the forecast and the preparations, no matter where you watch. Stay connected with us on TV, online, and with the WRAL News app anytime. But turn on those notifications to get alerts right to your phone. Firefighters are investigating what sparked a house fire in Raleigh. The WRAL Breaking News Tracker took this video outside a home on Haywood Street. The fire sparked around 9:30 last night, and neighbors tell us the home is abandoned. A firefighter suffered a minor eye injury while trying to put out the flames. Isaiah Ross was given a verdict yesterday in Orange County's double murder trial, and Ross was found guilty of second-degree murder of Devin Clark. A mistrial was declared in the case of Lyric Woods, though. Ross was sentenced to a maximum 25 years. The prosecution asked for the murder charge of Lyric Woods be revisited in March. A key vote to avoid a partial government shutdown was delayed on Capitol Hill. And keep in mind, funding for a large portion of the federal government is set to expire today. The Senate did not vote on a funding agreement last night, and that agreement would have extended funding for most of the government through September. However, it would only fund the Department of Homeland Security for 2 weeks. The House is in recess until Monday, but if the Senate passes the measure today, it will likely be passed by the House quickly upon their return. And today we are expected to get another look at how inflation is affecting companies, and that could affect the prices you pay. The Producer Price Index is set to be released at 8:30, and this tracks the prices of which producers and manufacturers receive for their goods from retailers and distributors. You could pay more if prices for them get too high, and then they decide to make you pay more. In Minnesota, White House border czar Tom Homan says ICE operations will be drawn back, but only under certain conditions. The conditions include protesters must stay peaceful, and state and local authorities help ICE agents locate undocumented immigrants with criminal records. Mayor Jacob Frey in that city reiterated, though, Minneapolis police will not assist with ICE operations, but he is hopeful about the idea of a drawback.
Do I expect the conduct to immediately change? That is my expectation. That is what we are insisting upon. But again, I'll believe it when I see it.
President Trump sent Homan to Minneapolis this week to take control over after Border Patrol Commander Greg Bovino. And this is happening after weeks of violent clashes between protesters and ICE agents, plus the shooting deaths of Renee Good and Alex Preddy. In an overnight post to social media, President Donald Trump called Alex Preddy, quote, crazed and out of control. In that post, President Trump said Preddy screamed and spat toward an ICE agent during an incident, and that happened days before ICE agents fired shots and he was killed. Video shows Preddy shouting at agents and kicking at a vehicle before he was tackled to the ground, and sources say he suffered a broken rib. A lawyer for the Preddy family said, quote, nothing that happened a full week before could possibly have justified Alex's killing at the hands of ICE. A 14-year-old girl is facing charges in relation to threats made to Nash County schools this week. The sheriff's office says that girl made a threat on Facebook and named 2 schools in the area. There's been multiple threats made at schools in the area this week. A 16-year-old was also charged for making other threats against schools. Well, there's a new hockey training facility that's coming to Roseville. Puck Masters is building an ice rink and training center on Main Street. The facility is expected to offer coaching and clinics and youth hockey programs for players of all skill levels. Construction is already happening, too. An opening is planned for this summer. The Hurricanes made history during Hartford Whalers night at Lenovo Center. Get this, the Canes trailed the Utah Mammoth 4-2 with 2 minutes left on the clock. They hit them with the plot twist. They scored 3 times in just 90 seconds to get the come-from-behind win 5-4. It's just the 3rd time in NHL history a team that trailed by 2 with 2 minutes left came back to win without needing overtime. The Canes are back in action tomorrow night in Washington. Goodness gracious. Your time's 4:39. Restocking shelves. With wintry weather in the forecast, grocery aisles are filling up fast again. What shoppers say is disappearing first and why some aren't taking chances this time around. Plus, walking strong. After more than 2,000 miles on foot, the Walk for Peace is nearing its final stretch. What's ahead as they push toward D.C.? And let's go ahead and get you a live look this morning. Looks like our camera is going to show us Pittsburgh. Nice, calm, and quiet, but it's going to look much different come this weekend. Even tonight, in fact. Meteorologist Elizabeth Gardner is going to break down the winter storm warning and the cold weather advisory for our area.
From the WRAL Severe Weather Center, North Carolina's most experienced team of meteorologists.
It is 4:43, and we have a winter storm warning that went into effect this morning. It starts actually at 4 p.m., lasts until 7 a.m. on Sunday. Of course, you know, we're talking about snow. 3 to 6 inches widespread with some pockets where it could be heavier, and it is going to be windy over the weekend, too. That snow is going to be blowing around, and the blowing of the snow and some of that snow could help to create at least some isolated power outages. So this is a look at our updated map for this morning. 3 to 6 inches for most of us. Notice there's a pocket of 4 to 8 over to the west and 6 to 12 to the east. And, you know, that could bleed into our viewing area anywhere, especially maybe along the I-95 corridor. There would be some pockets where the snow could pile up to around 8 inches or so. We're taking a look at what's happening out there right now. Our skies are fairly cloudy in spots. We do have a big, beautiful moon out there that you can still see through the clouds, but it is a cold start. 18 in Roxborough, 21 in Durham, 21 in Garner, 22 in Cary. We do not have much wind right now, so we don't have a wind chill, but it's so cold. I imagine the gym is going to be pretty busy. I've noticed that this week. There have been a lot of people there. 35 this afternoon, and we'll see an increase in clouds. Now, I would plan to be where you need to be for the weekend by around sunset or so, but coming up, we'll talk more about the timing of the arrival of the snow.
All right, thanks for tracking that for us, Elizabeth. The Walk for Peace Buddhist monks have less than 200 miles left in their journey to D.C., and today they'll head toward DeWitt, Virginia. A spokesperson for the Walk for Peace says the lead monk is feeling slightly stronger after not doing well in freezing temperatures. He received IV treatments and antibiotics, but a medical team is closely monitoring him. They're walking from Fort Worth, Texas. You obviously know they passed here in Raleigh, and they're going to D.C., and they plan to reach our nation's capital February 11th. Today, Wake County schools will again have a 2-hour delay. Multiple other school districts are adjusting their schedules as well. Yesterday was the first day back in class for Wake County students in almost a week. The school district says the ice from last weekend's storm is causing these disruptions. Parents say that they are preparing for the snow this weekend.
I can't imagine a world in which we're not going to have multiple days out of school next week.
It is frightening for me, who was just, I've already missed work this week. I'm going to have to miss work next week if they're out. So I have no idea what we're doing.
We asked Wake County Public Schools how they are preparing for the upcoming snow, and a spokesperson says school leadership is monitoring the forecast and conditions. However, no decisions have been made about classes next week. Now, with snow expected this weekend, shoppers are stocking up at grocery stores again. In Greenville, the shelves were stocked with items people typically buy when snow or ice is in the forecast. One shopper described what they've been seeing while they're getting enough food for the storm.
Oh, there's a lot of people. There's the lines are full. The stuff is coming off the shelves. We're here Piggly Wiggies now, and it's getting to be kind of overload.
We did reach out to Lowe's Foods to see how they're preparing for last-minute shoppers, and they say they're restocking shelves and they are increasing deliveries to stores. Samaritan's Purse dispatched some of its team to Mississippi, Tennessee, and Louisiana. The teams are working to clear out communities trapped by downed trees and ice from last weekend's storm. The hope is for them to provide help where they can to the communities where they've been greatly affected, including those where people died because of the storm. Now, one man made the most of the winter weather. Video shared on social media shows him skiing through the snow-covered streets of Boston last weekend. The footage highlights the high snowfall that turned empty city streets into a skier's paradise. Stop smiling so much, Elizabeth. I know that you want to be over there skiing in the snow if you could. This weekend definitely is going to be something that we're going to see snow here, and I hope if you do decide to do something like, please be safe.
That's right. That is something you never want to do. You don't ever want to get towed by a car on your skis. It's super dangerous, so please don't do that. The other thing we really want to stress is it has been cold now for a while, and it will be cold into next week. If you see ice on a pond or, any body of water, do not step on it. Make sure that you tell your kids, even if it looks solid, it is never solid enough in our area for you to walk on it. So warn the kids especially because, they're going to be out road roaming, running around this weekend. Winter storm warning goes into effect at 4 o'clock this evening. We're looking at least 3 or more inches of snow for most of us, and windy conditions too. We'll see those winds starting to pick up later today, but it's pretty calm right now. This is a look at our updated snowfall forecast. We added a few pockets of some higher totals, especially back here around Charlotte and parts of the Piedmont. Now, this could sneak into any part of our viewing area. Same thing here. We drew a line where we drew a line does not mean that that's specifically where that shutoff's going to be, but some heavier totals closer to the coast, and we could have some pockets of up to 7 or 8 inches, but generally our viewing area should average around 3 to 6. Again, our potential for 3 inches of snow is anywhere from about 65 to 75%. That's a really good chance. The possibility of 6 inches of snow, as you can see, is a little bit greater there, just to our west and just to our east, but it doesn't mean that nobody's going to see anything like that. So looking at the potential for our area, it's more like a 15 to 30% chance of 6+ inches. All right, so it will also be very cold. We have a cold weather advisory that's in effect for tomorrow. Very cold wind chills in the single digits, and that includes when people are going to want to be out playing in the snow. We also have an extreme cold watch for Sunday for wind chills in the -5s. All right, so this is a look at our timeline for our winter storm. We may see some scattered flurries like snow showers starting as early as 5 o'clock. We start to see some of that light snow moving into the triangle sometime during the evening before midnight, and then that widespread snow really sets in by beyond midnight up until around 5 a.m. And then it's just steady Saturday, and Saturday night in particular, maybe even heavier. It does taper off on Sunday morning. So travel will be high risk. A lot of heavy snow out there. And again, that starts to get heavier around or just after midnight. But again, I would try to stay put by around dinner time or so. Sledding, yes. Now, snowman building, it may be a little tricky. It's going to be a really light, fluffy snow. So there'll be plenty of snow, but it may not be very packable. And we'll have the potential for some power outages. Stepping outside this morning, we're seeing the clouds building already. 21 is our temperature. We don't have a wind chill right now. The winds are nice and calm, which is a great thing to see. But it is 19 in South Hill, where it feels like 14. It's 23 in Fayetteville and 19 in Southern Pines. It's very cold out there. Our normal low is 32, and we're going to be really cold. Look at that. Monday morning, 10. Sunday, 15, 18 on Tuesday. So that cold air lingers. And our temperatures will only be a little above freezing, and then we're not above freezing again until Monday. So obviously, Saturday and Sunday are weather alert days. We do have the potential for some precipitation for the middle of next week. It looks a little less likely that we'll see snow then, but we'll keep our eye on that too.
No, you will, Elizabeth. Thanks so much. Your time this morning is 4:50, a big screen shift. Up next, the familiar face stepping into a powerful new role rooted in myth and meaning. Plus, red carpet moment. We're going to take you inside the First Lady's film debut. President Donald Trump was on the red carpet last night for the premiere of Melania at the Kennedy Center. The president attended alongside First Lady Melania Trump, and she's credited as an executive producer for the documentary. Several top members of the Trump administration were also there for that debut. From an iconic big screen warrior to a mythological figure. Here's David Daniel with today's Hollywood Minute.
We felt it was important to pick up immediately where we left off. And
Noah Centineo is going back to the beginning. The recruit star is set for the title role in John Rambo, an origin story for the character famously played by Sylvester Stallone. Production on John Rambo has begun in Bangkok, Thailand.
I feel like today everything has to grab you so quickly.
Phil Dunster has grabbed onto a role in How to Train Your Dragon 2. The Ted Lasso and Surface actor has been cast as Eret, the self-proclaimed finest dragon trapper alive. Mason Thames returns as Hiccup in the live-action sequel, which is due in theaters in June of 2027.
I'd like to walk you through for a few minutes my life and how I got here today.
Emmy and Tony winner Mandy Patinkin has had quite a life, and now he's set to play a role that's been around even longer. Patinkin has been cast as Odin, the All-Father, in God of War. The Prime Video series, based on the popular video game, is now in pre-production in Vancouver. In Hollywood, I'm David Daniel.
The Durham Fire Department is increasing its staffing this weekend. They're adding a firefighter to every ladder truck, plus a minimum of 4 people in rescue vehicles. The trucks will have cables and chains to help them drive through the icy conditions on the road, or rather snowy conditions. And if someone wanted to try braving the freezing temperatures and get on the Greenway, well, they're out of luck in Hillsborough. This is what one of the trails looked like. Our frigid temperatures have turned trails into sheets of ice, and this makes them unsafe for people. The town says the parks won't reopen until conditions improve, and with the snow coming this weekend, could be a while. The town of Wake Forest is trying to catch up on trash collection before the next round of snow. Service was delayed this week, and now crews are planning to try doing all their pickups today. It's likely, though, that trash collection will be affected next week, so keep that in mind. The town will share any updates when it's clear how this snowstorm affects the area. Time this morning is 4:56. DOT crews will be out on roads ahead of that winter storm moving in tonight. We'll get you an update on what we're expecting this morning. And snow driving safety. Ahead, 5 on your side's Kaylee Arthur will explain the important things you should know if you gotta be on the road. Plus, indoor events. There are still some things you can do this weekend despite the snow. You're out and about's Bets in just a bit.